Hi, this is James Fernandez. Today is April 28th, 2020, and I'm sitting here with
Amanda Baret.
Doing a live video conference chat with her in my room and in her place. Thank you for joining me today.
I'm happy to be here.
May you please state your full name for the record?
Amanda Baret, spelled B-A-R-E-T.
Awesome. When and where were you born?
June 13th, 1997.
Awesome. Okay, Amanda. Basically, I just want to know about your experience at UF when you were going there for the last 4 years, and can you tell me about like how the life and the culture for like you as a former Black student there was for you?
That's a lot. I'll start with my freshman year. I really wasn't involved, end quote, with like many of like the Black organizations my freshman year. I started to really look more or get involved into that my sophomore year. I know sophomore year I did Club Creole pageant. I would attend some of the events that Black Student Union will host. But then that's a lot. I don't even know where to start with that. But I would say definitely starting my sophomore year, I definitely started getting more involved with the Black student body, going to the events that they were hosting, like galas when they were at Turlington, when they would do things at the BEC, up in what's the Rights Union, the is it MCDA. But yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I want to know a little bit more about like those programs that you joined, like with the BSU, IBC, and as well with the MCDA. Do you feel like that the University of Florida had like most of its students like of different diverse background and culture, like very participant, very active towards the students?
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that, like, with student government itself, like, do you feel like that they put more effort towards those organizations than themselves?
Into more like the diverse groups and stuff?
Yes.
No. Okay, I give you an example. I think it was my freshman year when I got involved with the MCDA. And obviously when you go to the MCDA, they have like the BEC, they have one for Asian Americans, they have one like for Latinx and those in the LGBTQI plus community, right?
Of course.
I remember.
No, of course. I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry. So I remember this time I knew, I was like, what is really going on? Because when I walked in, because I went there because I know BC was having some sort of event, but obviously I was new. I didn't know, where to go or where was that, because I didn't really see like a lot of people. So I remember I went into like, and this is one thing that threw me off. Obviously, if you've been in there, it's like there's each room for everybody. Like it's like they're placed in a category. You got room for this one, like for African Americans, you got room for the Asians, you got room for Hispanic, and then you got the room for LGBTQIA plus community, right?
Yes.
So when I didn't know where the event was, I remember I stepped into the room where, it was for like Asian Americans. So I'm like, hey, do you guys know where this event, where, it's being hosted? And it's like they had no idea. But because like me being new, I'm thinking like, okay, this is the multicultural room, this is where everybody's supposed to hang out, like, minority students. But it's like, how you not know what one person is doing? It's like, it still seemed to me like everybody was still in their lane. So I'm sitting here like, so outside coming in, it was still in a way divisive. I'm going to go with that word. It was still divisive. It's like everybody in the room, but y'all still put in categories, and you don't know what the person next door is doing, but it's being hosted in the same building. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. So basically, with the different organizations in the MCDA, like they were they were involved with their group, but like with like organizing like certain activities or anything else, it was very disorganized in a sense, or it
Yes,
was just like
yes,
a very
yes,
meeting space.
yes.
Okay.
So to me, I started to learn early on. It was just what's that word? You can even say like propaganda to put up a front, like, hey, we have a space for minority students. Okay, but
Tokenism.
then you got the minority students in there not even working together, not really doing anything together, even interacting with each other. So at one point I was like, what's the point of this? I didn't really like it. And sooner or later I really stopped going over there.
So you feel like that the university, like student government, putting that room inside the rights union was like their effort of using it as a tokenist achievement for them.
Of course. Of course. And again, like I came after they built that, or when they created it, but from early on I was like, what's the point of this?
Oh,
But obviously I know other students, I talked to about it. Obviously they had a different perspective of it. Some were very active. I kind of was just like, I wasn't really feeling it. You're not gonna, at least in my opinion, you're not gonna like every organization that's out there. You're not gonna, that's just the reality. You're not gonna like every organization. I'm not gonna be involved with every single Black organization or every minority led organization. So I was just like, this one it's not really for me.
okay. I just wrote up some questions just to get it going. Um, did hold on. So this is going back to the Black experience. So how can you describe the Black experience at UF? Did you find it above or below what you thought of it?
What I thought of it,
Yeah.
um, I I would say towards like definitely my senior year. Out of all the years I've been there, I can say I enjoyed my Black experience the most because obviously I'm getting old. I got older. I was more out there. Obviously freshman year I was a little timid. I was shy. It's normal. New environment. Not having a lot of friends. So obviously my time being spent at the campus, I met more people, got comfortable with more people, attended more organizations and clubs. So obviously leading up to my senior year, I really loved my Black experience, but I know there were so many, faults and things that I really need to work on that UF needed to do, but also obviously I'm talking about like, Black students in general, because I'm speaking proximity of Black students because obviously I'm a Black person. But I realized that also within our organizations, we needed to tighten up on some things. For example, I can even say with Black History Month, they do a lot of stuff for Black History Month, but also you have to look at it. I wasn't there for Black History Month for this year, but I remember last year, like they had like a calendar and all the events, and I think it's cool, but it's also was like also show like I'm gonna be very specific with this, and when I say like even though many organizations came out and they did something, but also just like I'm gonna speak about the unity part because it's like you had BSU and you had like Club Creole, or JAMSA. They all doing the same, like they all had their different activities on one day. Say they're all doing something on Tuesday, and it's like, dang, I want to go to this one, but I also want to go to that. So it would have been nice if they were to strategically planned it out. So so students wouldn't have to feel like, dang, which one should I go to? But not everybody's gonna like one activity that's put on. So maybe from their perspective, it was good to have like a different variety. So like people had different options. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And what I would want to also address is that with BSU itself, like there, I heard a lot of things about like the Black Student Union, like how they try to get everybody from like the Black perspective, from the Black students and all around the other certain groups in campus to like come together and like participate in like certain activities and events. Like, would you say like the Black Student Union was like the most participating group on campus, like with like their achievements, with specifically organization of events and the quality that they brought to the campus?
I would say when you're looking within the Black organization specifically alone, yeah, I would say yeah, but I mean, I just know, like hearing stories from the past, many of the things that BSU would do, they didn't really do it, you know?
Okay,
So
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, just to go it from there, like with the IBC, with the Institute of Black Culture itself in La Casita that were like separate from campus on West University, uh, what experience have you had from there that was different from the experience that you had on campus?
Um, let's see. I can't really speak too much about that because I think was it my freshman year or my sophomore year? Um, I was on the reconstruction committee,
Okay.
but I got like super busy, so I couldn't really be involved as I wanted to be, unfortunately. But I did visit, like me and some of my friends, we did visit the IBC after it finished after like the construction happened, but we'll like just go in, you know, just like peep. But I can't really say too much because I never really was there. Like I know other students who was there all the time. That was a hangout spot. Like they really loved it. So I can't really speak on my relationship. I can't really speak on the comparison of being on campus and being on the IBC. But I know for a fact, like many of my friends, they did go there. That was a spot. They felt safe. I understand like the historical significance of it. But when I came to, yeah, that's when they started to shut it down and start the whole reconstruction. And by the time it was done, pretty much, it was time for me to graduate. So I didn't get to experience it compared to those before me. And obviously I'm not going to experience it compared to those after me.
Okay. And just going on to that question, so like when you have decided to demolish the houses, do you believe that the demolishing like that them demolishing those houses was like destroying like the legacy that the Black students before you had on UF of like what they accomplished over the years?
Of course, like history happened within those houses within itself. You know, there was history on why it was created in the first place, and many things happen within the house. So obviously when you like the word you use, when you demolishing it and when you tearing it down, like, you know, historically you're also erasing the history and legacy within those houses. Yes, you remodeled it, you know, you rebuilt it from the ground up because of, you know, it was just being like, when you look at it, like being torn down and it needed to be rebuilt, you know. Obviously when you look at it from what's the word, like construction or management standpoint of view, it needed to be remodeled. But obviously when they tore those houses down, some of the history went with it. I remember oh, dang, I think it was my freshman year going into my sophomore year. I had a friend sent me the petition because they wanted to build the two houses together, and that was, you know, a fight within itself as well. And I remember my sophomore year when school started back up again, my teacher said something about like they didn't really announce, my roommate too, they didn't even announce when they demolished it. Like they just went ahead and did their own thing. It's like, where was the communication, you know? Like y'all just went ahead and did it. Like, yeah, you know, you was able to get the green light, but did y'all tell the students that where this house meant a lot to them? It would have been nice if y'all would have said something. But it's UF. What do you expect?
Of course. And taking the African American Studies classes and as well like the Samuel Proctor Oral History program, learning about the history of UF, would you be considered surprised of like their actions of like demolishing those houses at all?
Hell no. Like everything UF does at this point, it doesn't surprise me. Like again, history likes to repeat itself. And when you look at the history of UF and how the shady things that they do, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one says history repeats itself just to say it for their own health. They say because it's true.
Honestly. Let's see what else I can think of. I think we went through all the questions. And I know I want to talk to you for an hour about it, but it's just I know for certain, like I have understood the history from like the black students' perspective of like Black Thursday, April of 1971, like how like the black students went inside the UF president's office just to demand for the blacks for the not the student union, but for the Institute of Culture to come to be. It's just like throughout over the last almost 50 years, like we've never learned from history itself. Do you think, or do you hope for the future of UF, like, and the students that are going to come after us, like things will actually change for the better for diversity itself?
Way that UF, that's a hard question. I can't even lie to you. Like, I mean, we already know like the black enrollment is decreasing. I mean, there's not even a lot of black professors. They really shutting things down when you look at like minority initiatives in the first place. Um, you, that's such a heavy topic.
Okay.
That's such a heavy, like, I'm gonna feel sorry for those who come after. I really am, because it's like, will they get the opportunity to know the history, like the history of IBC, the history of black students on campus? Will they get to know that? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So,
Because I know I've asked a few students before, like who's in the class or like anybody else, like they feel like the importance of having like Black history on campus is very important to the Black campus movement in the past. And it's like without telling the history and with like the less students that are coming in that they don't know about this history, they're just basically like being taken away from that and like just losing that sense of importance that they don't matter. But
mm-hmm.
like, would you believe that there are professors on campus that are trying to their best to bring forth like that type of history to come back to the campus?
Oh, most definitely. Like, you have to look at AFA, the African American Studies program, you know? Like, I took AFA classes up to freshman all the way up to senior year. And the reason why I know so much of this history is because of them, you know? And I tell students, I tell students all the time, like, I met students, who want to become a dentist, like such. I'm specifically talking about black students. Obviously we all major in different stuff, but I tell them at least take one course, take the intro, you know, because I took the intro is the reason why I went ahead and got the minor. And I was like, no, let me go ahead and get a double major. It's because of them. It's like, it really did spark interest. And I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and do my own research. Because at the end of the day, especially as students, we're going to school and getting educated, it's still our due diligence to go back and do our own research and read it ourselves and look at the fine print. And continue to like pretty much continue the things that we are taught in class. So I definitely feel like teachers are pushing that, but you also have to realize, there's politics to it. There's certain, when they teach a certain course, and not just them, like any teachers, is usually they have to get an approval.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go up to the higher ups and like get their approval. Like, can they teach this class? And sometimes, there's a lot of things to it. Like, yeah, they may want to teach this class, but will their superior let them teach that? They might want them to teach something else. You see what I'm saying? And then
Yes.
you also have to look at, the type of professors, and I'm not just talking about like the AFA in general, and specifically, but you can just talk about it in general as well. Like, okay, what kind of teachers are they bringing in to teach the materials? You have to look at that, because just because somebody has a degree and can teach doesn't mean, they know what they're teaching. Sometimes they can just say whatever and just keep it moving. Like, do they really want to instill the history of black students of black UF, or are they just, you can look at it as propaganda, or they're just going to teach a small section of history and that's about it. So you also have to look at it from like an administrative point of view, like the people they're bringing in and the people they're trying to take out. So
Yeah, and especially just drawing from that question, like there's been like teachers that you and I have with Dr. Adejuma, like his Black Wall Street class, it was impeccable. Like he stated the facts, he mentioned everything that was wrong with UF and what was wrong with the entire state that I knew a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of, but not in general enough. But like
Mm-hmm.
I think teachers like him, we need more professors like him to be on campus just to like state the facts and be real and be honest with the students of like what's going on in the past and like how we can be like able to like try to make things better for the future. But
Mm-hmm.
UF itself, like sometimes I'm not saying they do try, but sometimes they try a little to like put that effort, but like do you think that there's like anything going to be involved for education in the future itself, like pertaining to the topic of humanities?
Repeat that question one more time.
Do you think that UF will try to change its own course of history for like Black students and like its history itself in general?
I won't be surprised. I don't know, but again, like I said earlier, I'm not surprised that anything that UF does. So if I had to say yes or no, I would go ahead and say yes. They would probably change it. Like certain classes they don't want to be taught because you know what? I would say yes, yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. If I would have probably 5, 10 years from now, I decide, let me go visit UF. Let me go, not even, I probably wouldn't even have to physically visit UF. Let me look at the course listing on the website. What classes are they having? What classes do, students need to get a minor or to get a double major? Some of the classes that I probably took, I may not even be there. Let's talk about Black Wall Street. I mean, Black Wall Street had such a profound impact on my life. And obviously you was there. Like everything he said, like I'm seeing now after I graduate. Like I'm really seeing it. Like that is a class that, like, in my opinion, really equipped me for reality, for the adulthood. And I love that class, but 10 years from now, will I see that class on the AFA catalog?
We don't know.
You don't know.
Of course. Okay. There was one question I wanted to ask you specifically. Like, before we even started, like I even asked you for this interview, and I'm so sorry if it was like the spur of the moment that I had to ask you. I was just like desperate. Sorry about that. But like how you want to mention for yourself, like after you graduated, like what do you think? How is it for you right now as a former alumni of UF, like going through the COVID-19 experience?
Um, I would say it's hard. I mean, just adulting, because again, man, that's a lot. James, that's a lot, but I can answer that question. That's not a problem.
Go ahead.
I will start off saying taking Black Wall Street class, like obviously we talked about it. I already knew from the beginning that we was going to go into a recession, that we was about to go into an economic decline. The economy was going to hit. We talked about it several times. And when you look at it, like, we talked about like the cycle at every 10 years. When we look at the last like recession we was in, it was like the 08 and the 09 due to the housing crisis. So we already talked about in class that something was going to happen. So when me about to graduate, I knew like we was about to go into recession. But obviously I'm not God. Like, the thing about it is that I didn't know when, and I didn't know what was going to cause it. But I knew shit was gonna hit the fan. I just didn't know what or when. So that was my whole issue. So when I came out, going to the workforce, my main thing was like to save, save, and save and save. And I sell it in money to invest, because when you're looking at from the investing or business point of view, and obviously if you look into the stock market is crashing, and that's the best time to buy stocks, because I mean some stuff obviously it's going down. Like Ford is like Ford, like the car company, is like $5 and some change. So this is the best time to be investing. Obviously, investing is long term. So I put money aside to invest. Again, just saving, making sure that I'm not spending more than what I'm bringing home with my paycheck. Again, and I was just talking to one of my friends the other day, like, I feel like I'm at a stagnant because I'm not where I want to be. You know, I'm like, I graduated, I have no degrees, not no degrees, I have no debt. First in my family is like really looking at me to really like, you know, do great. You know, I'm trying to I would love to help my family out financially. And maybe one day I will. But because of where we are economically, where this whole economy is shut down, I can't really do much. And that's something out of my control. So that's something I really had to cope with. And now it's just like before I graduated, I knew that I need to have multiple incomes. So I was working like 2 jobs. I'm looking at another side hustle right now, like being an interpreter. I'm looking at, you know, I already told you like podcasts, starting my own business. Taking that class really gave me like motivation to, you know, be about my business, to be a boss woman, to do what I gotta do. Because I already knew from the get-go something was going to happen. So while, you know, everybody is at an economic, you know, standstill right now, to me, in the back of my mind, I knew something was going to happen. So when this did happen, it was frustrating because I'm like, I have goals I want to do. I have, you know, goals I want to accomplish, things I want to do. But right now, it's not my goals right now. They're not denied. They're just delayed. But again, I knew something was going to happen. I just didn't know when, and I just didn't know what was going to cause it. And that's just what it is.
No, it is what it is, of course. And also, it's just like how you brought up the class again, and like how it prepared you, and like you know what to expect. The African American Studies classes and all the other diversity classes that are being offered at UF, like they should be prepared more on like these kinds of topics, like financial, economic, or like even like historical topics that were never taught in like a PWI campus at all.
Yes, facts. Because like we talked in Black Wall Street, like, you know, when you're looking at you know, Black students going to like school or whatnot, they want to go to this high top ranking school, but they don't even have XYZ money and they're taking XYZ loan. He mentioned like it's probably just best to go to a 2-year community college, get your little associates, and then you can go ahead and transfer so you don't have to take that much money, and you could have been saving money and stuff like that. So he really talked about like real stuff, especially when it came into the financial aspect, looking at history, looking at the economy. Like right now, I've been watching a lot, like reading books about investing yourself, saving. Again, when preparation means opportunity, it's a done deal. So right now, the thing that I'm doing is just really preparing myself for when I meet an opportunity. And that is, you know, reading books to sharpen my skill. I would have never known, like when I go on my YouTube page, like I used to watch like beauty channel, hair channels, you know, clothing haul videos, but now my YouTube page is all about saving, investing. I'm looking at the economy. And it's just like I didn't have to major in business to know this. I didn't have to major in economics, you know? This is something, in my opinion, now after taking that class, this is something, whatever degree you have, you should know, because this is part of adulthood. So I'm really glad, because the things that I was taught in that class, I wasn't taught that by my parents. And obviously my parents didn't know that. So how are they gonna teach me? You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
yeah, so definitely prepare me. And to this day, I'm still, you know, there's things that are hard, but you know, you just gotta keep pushing.
Of course. And just to bring it back to UF, and so sorry to throw it off the tangent. Like I want to know, like specifically, like the experience, like with activism itself. Like, were you there for the Donald Trump Jr. protests? I think
James, you know,
yes,
I was.
I know. I don't remember now, like when he was coming out. But like, what can you tell me, like, about Donald Trump Jr. coming to campus, and like, what were like the general reactions from you and everybody else?
Was I surprised? Like, that really was my initial reaction. Like, should I be surprised? Like literally, I was like, should I be surprised? But I was there for the protest, and I loved it because I never really attended a protest like that before, you know. So to me, it was kind of like, there's a word that I'm looking for and I can't think of it. Like I loved it. I love the feeling. I love that I'm standing here on the roads. You know, I mean, random people, and we're sitting here yelling stuff out and protesting and saying, like, rallying each other. I love the part when we was on the streets. Like, it was my first protest, and I really loved it. I love being there. Again, protesting in general, like, it's hard work because after it was done, like, I was so drained, like, and you know, from screaming, my voice hurt, but I was there. And I met some people there too. You know, I saw some of my classmates. I saw one of my roommates. I was like, okay, hey girl, you know, and all of that. So I loved it, but that was some shade. Like we talked in Black Wall Street, that was some shady stuff going on. Like that was real shady.
Okay. Yeah, and especially like with it itself, like it was my first time like participating in like student activism as well with protesting. But I have never seen UF like I've been there for 2 years. I have never seen a protest, and especially with what I heard with the Richard Spencer event back in 2017, like the UF community comes together to prevent like things that represent like hate or ignorance or something that would be like very offensive to like the people in like diverse background and culture. Like I just don't know. Like I did not experience it when I went to those protests, but like for you itself, like it must have been like changing, like opened up like your mind to saying like, listen, this is what's going on in the world, and like people are like trying to fight back against it, and like for the good basic cause. Like, do you feel like the student activism at UF has still progressed, or like has decelerated in its progress of like being more actively involved in activism itself?
Oh, I gotta see. How should I answer that question? I'm not gonna. This is what I was saying. I'm not gonna say it increased, nor did it decrease. But I think it's very important to look at what people are protesting against. I think that's what we need to be looking at. What people, what event, what cause, what things. I think it's important to look at that because that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say because I'm gonna choose my words wisely. I would say that exactly what people are protesting against.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see what else I can think of for this.
Take your time. I'm home all day.
Same
You know, this coronavirus out here, you know.
Shit is real. Shit is getting real.
Real.
I would say also the types of classes. I got one topic I can bring up. What can you tell me about your experience with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program? Like, how has it enlightened you to like your views of like Black culture on campus and like everything else that's been happening around UF itself?
I loved it, and I'm so happy I got involved. Like I know that's such a broad explanation, but I first got introduced to it because my freshman year, time just flies by. I don't even remember things anymore. But I honestly believe it was my freshman year. I took a class with Dr. Ortiz, and he was the one. Obviously, you know, he was advertising, you know, the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program. So that's how I got involved with transcribing. I attended their events. You was there. I think when we had that potluck, I saw you. And just being involved, like every now and then I pop up, say hi, transcribe when I can. But definitely when we did the summer road trip, hopefully you get the chance to do that one year. When we did the Mississippi Freedom Trip. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And I will do it again. I will freaking do it again. I think our first stop was Monticello, and we met Black veterans who were part of the Vietnam War. And he actually was there at the panel we did for the Mississippi Freedom Trip. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I think his last name is Jefferson. But did you know that I actually still communicate with him? Because after the panel, we obviously, when we went up to do the reception, like I stayed back and we talked, and he would just tell me what I want to do with my career, and he was pretty much giving me advice, and we exchanged emails, and to this day we still email back and forth.
Oh, that's incredible. I can't believe that. It's just like with me, like I've been taking the internships at Samuel Proctor itself, and like I haven't had the experience that you have had. And like doing the interviews with these certain individuals from the past, were you able to like encounter with any individuals that were, let's just say, involved with Black Thursday, if you were to say?
With Black Thursday? With the Mississippi Freedom Trip?
Mississippi Freedom Trip, or any event, any interviews that you've done with the Proctor program?
Oh yes. When I first started out with Spop,
It's Bob.
Bob.
Yes.
I remember when I first started going on, I don't know if she's still there. I think her name was Juliana. And then I think Ebony Love, now she's like a law student at UF. What is it? Each year, what is it? What is it? Like the Black Alumni Association, I think when they do I know they come around homecoming, and they have like a big event, usually in the Rights Union. And when people were coming out because it was finished, that's when everybody does the tailgating, and they were coming out of one of the buildings inside the Rights Union, and we were interviewing, and we just asked people like, hey, can we just do like a quick interview? I definitely remember someone here during Black Thursday. I remember one person I interviewed, she ended up she ended up opening up her own insurance company. So yeah, like I don't remember specifics on what they said, because I think I was definitely either a freshman or a sophomore year. It's been some years now, but I remember definitely interacting with those who were there during the Black Thursday. And one person I did get a chance to interview, and I still followed up with him even after I did the interview with him. When he came to UF, he went to UF's dentist school. I think he told me he was the only Black student there. He gave me a lot of insight too. So and that's one thing I really liked about doing Summer Proctor History program. When I got the chance to interview some of these people, they also was nice to they were nice enough to tell me like, hey, like you can still email me with questions, kind of being like a mentor or guidance, to give me like life, tell me like with life questions and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I just know they're the best program that's there on UF, and like I'm just appreciative that they're here and that they are able to like allow us to access those stories, and to volunteers like you and everybody else to bring those stories there to bring it to life. Also, I think I don't know what other thing I can ask you.
Take your time.
Experience, everything else. No, I can't think of anything else. Well, if anything, well, thank you, Amanda, for allowing me to interview with you today. And it's been a great interview, like talking about the experience that you had at UF and like what experience you're going through right now. So thank you again for your time, for letting me interview you.
No problem, James. I got you.
Okay. Well, listen, if anything, I'll follow back up with you about the podcast if you're still interested with that. Okay, so if anything, thank you so much again for this interview, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay.
You too. Let me know if I can help with anything else.
No, gotcha. Thank you so much, Amanda. Have a great one.
Bye. You too.
Bye.